Well, hi everyone, and welcome to the EcoInvestment update for April 3rd, 2016. Spring has sprung in full force. Sunny days, glorious days. We were out buying our tomato plants for the season, and boy, didn't that just make me think of summer today. Anyway, welcome, and you know what, it's time for bubble talk here, and let's drill down on bubbles and what some of the common denominators are of bubbles. Through history, we've had bubbles in speculating in railroads in the 1860s and 70s. We've had bubbles in copper mining and production, famous bubbles in the 1880s, 1890s, sugar bubbles. We've had real estate bubbles in Florida land in the 1920s. We had the 1929 stock market bubble. We've had bubbles. They've been a feature of history. The gold bubble, the inflation bubble of 1976 to 1980, the real estate bubble in the early to, well, probably culminated in about 1995, 1998, and then of course we had the bust. But the common feature of all of these is when the bubbles are underway, people will early on, you'll think to yourself, well, gee, nobody really recognizes that we're in a bubble, do they? No, the reality is that there'll be a lot of people talking about a bubble, but what often happens is two things. Number one, they predict the end of it too soon, and number two, or that they think it will last forever, and that something is different this time, and something about this bubble makes it special. And I heard that, the last bubble I heard that about was the real estate bubble in 2005, when I showed you guys before on a update magazine covers from three magazines from August of 2005: Time, Fortune, and Money magazine, and all three of them featured real estate. You know, the Americans being gaga about real estate at that time. It was supposed to be okay. Things were different this time. Things were well under control. Financing was good. There were no sketchy loans. You didn't even need, you know, Greenspan had been told by Clinton to ease up on loan requirements. And now everybody that wanted to have a house could have a house. And consequently, we wiped out a whole generation at least of future would-be homeowners for all of the folly of that bubble. So here we sit in a stock market that's clearly not on a runaway path. And yet this market seems to reach a point where nothing can bring it down. And yet the people that are talking about bubbles at this point are few and far between. What will make things different this time? Well, they will tell you several things. That interest rates are so low that this market would have to go up a long way before it had any competition from other investments. And that's true. Ding, we'll call that true. They'll also tell you that this bubble can be sustained, and therefore it's not really a bubble. It's a change in market fundamentals. How many times in history have we heard things are different this time? This is what makes this special compared to before. So don't panic, guys. Stay the course and see your ship get sunk along with everybody else's, right? So these are some of the common features of bubbles. They also engross a lot of people in the bubble. As I've mentioned before, rising prices are something that defies the laws of economics. When I mentioned before that normally when things go higher in price, people demand less of it, and demand goes down and prices go back down. But not so in investing. The more we demand, the more the stocks go up, the more the demand comes in. The more they go up, and it's a perverse inverse relationship that totally defies the law of economics, and therein lies the ultimate tragedy for many when things come a cropper, because they've bought very few shares at very high prices, and they're basically locked into a losing situation for years, if not decades. So here we sit with this market at 17,000, almost 800. It seems pretty invincible here. But yet people aren't saying it's invincible. There's people still thinking, well, we could just as easily turn down as continue going up. So we have to kind of be on our guard. But let me tell you, if we break through that old high, which could happen in very short order. All bets are going to be off at that point. And there'll be all kinds of predictions about where this thing could go. Dow 20,000, Dow 30,000, who knows, guys? Stay tuned. Anyway, it all makes for very fun analysis and watching, and it's been a good time to make some money, too. All right, guys. Thanks so much for watching, and see you probably in 2 weeks. I tried to do the weekly, but there's just not enough content to do that. If the situation warrants it, I'm glad to do a weekly. Otherwise, let's go back to the bi-weekly EcoInvestment update. Okay? Thanks so much for watching, guys, and I hope you have a great spring.